Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Faith is not a feeling. Faith is not just belief. Faith is a force. And if you don't put it to work, it won't work for you. Some of you have been sitting on dreams for years. You've been waiting, hoping, praying, but nothing is changing. You say you have faith, but where is the evidence? Faith without works is dead. It's like a seed in your pocket instead of planted in the ground. It has potential, but until you plant it and water it with action, it will never produce fruit. Now listen to me. God did not design you for mediocrity. He did not put you on this earth to survive. He created you to thrive. He gave you gifts, talents, and a vision for a reason. But faith is the currency of the kingdom, and if you don't spend it, you'll stay broke in every area of your life. Faith is not some vague emotion or fleeting thought. It is not just something you say you have when things are going well. Faith is a force and is invisible but undeniable power that can shape your reality, transform your circumstances, and unlock doors that seem permanently closed. It is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, which means it is tangible in the spiritual realm even before it manifests in the physical. Faith moves mountains, breaks chains, and calls things that do not exist into existence. But it can only do that when it is activated. Many people misunderstand faith because they equate it with mere belief. They think that as long as they agree with something in their minds, they have faith. But belief alone does not change situations. Faith is belief in action. It is the unwavering trust that propels you forward even when logic tells you to turn back. It is what makes you step out onto the water even when your natural mind is screaming that you will sink. It is what makes you invest in a vision that no one else can see yet, because you know that what is unseen is just as real, if not more real, than what is seen. Faith is not passive. It does not sit around waiting for things to happen. Faith commands, faith moves, faith builds, and faith creates. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, and every testimony of victory began with someone who had the audacity to believe and the courage to act. Faith is the catalyst that turns dreams into reality. Without faith, even the best laid plans will falter. Without faith, even the most gifted individuals will remain stagnant. But with faith, even the smallest, most insignificant person can rise to do the impossible. The power of faith is not in what you see with your eyes, but in what you know in your spirit. Your senses will lie to you. They will tell you that you are stuck, that you are not good enough, that the opportunity is gone. But faith speaks a different language. Faith declares it is done, even when nothing looks different yet. Faith declares, I am healed, even when the symptoms persist. Faith declares, the way is made, even when the path is still hidden. Faith does not negotiate with circumstances. It commands them to align with what God has already spoken. The problem many people have is that they only use their faith when things are easy. They have faith when the bank account is full, when the doors are open, when the support is there. But the true test of faith is when nothing looks like it is working. Faith is a force because it pushes against resistance. It does not need ideal conditions to function. In fact, faith works best in adversity. The darker the situation, the brighter faith. The greater the opposition, the stronger faith becomes. It thrives in uncertainty because uncertainty is the ground where miracles are born. Faith is not about ignoring reality. It is about refusing to be controlled by it. It acknowledges the facts but does not submit to them. It recognizes the challenges but does not bow to them. Faith operates in a realm that is above natural limitations. That is why people with strong faith accomplish things that others consider unrealistic. They do not wait for approval. validation, or confirmation. They walk boldly in the confidence that what they believe is more real than what they see. This is why faith-driven individuals are unstoppable. They cannot be discouraged by setbacks because they do not operate based on what is temporary. They function based on what is eternal. A person with faith speaks differently, moves differently, and sees the world differently. While others are complaining, they are declaring victory. While others are hesitating, they are taking action. While others are doubting, they are standing firm. Faith shapes the way you think, and the way you think determines the way you live. If your thoughts are filled with doubt, your life will reflect uncertainty. But if your mind is filled with faith, your life will reflect boldness, power, and authority. Faith is not just an idea, it is a mindset, a lifestyle, and a force that governs how you operate in every area of life. The force of faith cannot be borrowed, it must be built. You cannot rely on someone else's faith to sustain you forever. You must develop your own. And the only way to do that is by exercising it. Faith grows when it is tested. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Just like a muscle, if faith is never stretched, it remains weak. But when it is put under pressure, when it is used to push through obstacles, it becomes unshakable. Every trial, every setback, and every challenge is an opportunity to increase your faith. Those who shrink back in fear never experience the full power of faith. But those who stand firm in the face of difficulty see miracles unfold before their eyes. The reason faith is such a powerful force is that it does not depend on human ability, it depends on divine authority. When you operate in faith, you are not relying on your own strength, you are tapping into a power that is far greater than anything you could ever produce on your own. Faith connects you to unlimited resources. It aligns you with supernatural provision. It gives you access to wisdom, opportunities, and breakthroughs that are beyond human comprehension. The moment you begin to live by faith, you step into a realm where limitations no longer apply. Faith is the key that unlocks the impossible. It is not wishful thinking. It is not empty optimism. It is the confident assurance that what God has promised, He will perform. It is the unshakable conviction that no matter what happens, the outcome has already been settled. Faith is a force that does not take no for an answer. It refuses to accept defeat. It presses forward, breaks barriers, and creates a way where there seems to be none. Faith is not just a nice concept. It is a force that, when activated, changes everything. Faith without works is dead because faith was never meant to exist in isolation. It is not just a thought, a belief, or a feeling. It is a force that must be put into action. Too many people say they have faith, but their actions betray their words. They claim to believe in success, but they never take the steps necessary to achieve it. They claim to believe in abundance, but they never make the sacrifices or take the risks that abundance requires. Real faith is not just spoken, it is demonstrated. If faith is alive, it moves. If faith is real, it produces results. Anything that does not produce results is dead, and faith is no exception. Faith is like a seed. No matter how much potential is inside a seed, it will never grow if it is not planted. A seed can sit on a shelf for years and it will never bear fruit. Why? Because it was never put in the ground. Many people are sitting on seeds of faith, but they refuse to plant them. They talk about what they are going to do. They dream about success. They pray for breakthroughs, but they never step out, never invest in themselves, never take the first step. And then they wonder why nothing is happening. Faith must be sown before it can reap a harvest. It must be put to work before it can produce results. Some people confuse faith with waiting. They say, I'm just waiting on God. But the truth is, God is waiting on them. Faith is not sitting idly by hoping for something to happen. Faith is stepping out and expecting God to meet you along the way. Imagine a farmer who refuses to plant seeds because he is waiting for God to grow the crops. That would be foolish. The soil has the power to produce, but it cannot do anything until the seed is planted. The same is true with faith. It has the power to move mountains, to bring promotion, to transform lives, but it cannot do anything if it is not activated. The Bible says that faith without works is dead, and that is because faith requires a partnership between belief and action. It is not enough to believe that success is possible. You have to take the steps to make it happen. It is not enough to believe in healing. You must take care of your body. It is not enough to believe that God will open doors. You must knock on them. Faith without action is like a car without an engine. It looks good, but it is not going anywhere. People talk about faith. They preach about faith. But if their actions do not align with what they say they believe, then their faith is useless. Many people pray for change, but they do not prepare for change. They pray for opportunities, but they do not position themselves to receive them. They pray for increase, but they do not develop the skills, discipline, or mindset necessary to sustain that increase. Faith is not magic. It is a law. It requires movement. When faith is active, it produces preparation. A person who truly believes something is coming starts making room for it before it arrives. A woman who is pregnant does not wait until the baby is born to prepare a nursery. She prepares in advance because she has full confidence that the baby is coming. That is what faith does. It moves before it sees results. The proof of faith is in action. If someone claims to have faith but never moves, then they do not truly believe. If someone claims to trust God but never steps outside of their comfort zone, then their trust is in words only. Faith is what makes a person invest in themselves before the results appear. It is what makes someone study business before they have customers. It is what makes someone study before the opportunity comes. Faith always acts ahead of time because it is confident in the outcome. If faith is real, it shows up in the way a person lives, the way they work, and the way they prepare. Fear is often what stops people from putting their faith to work. They are afraid of failure, afraid of rejection, afraid of stepping into the unknown. But faith and fear cannot operate in the same space. One will always cancel out the other. If a person truly has faith, they will move in spite of fear. They will take risks. They will step out. They will push past discomfort because they know that faith guarantees results when it is backed by action. Faith is what gives people the confidence to walk forward when they cannot see the whole path. It does not wait for perfect conditions. It moves in expectation that the conditions will change. Excuses are another enemy of faith. People say, I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough time, or I'm not ready yet. But faith does not wait for conditions to be perfect. Faith moves with what is available. Every person who has ever achieved something great did not start with perfect conditions. They started with faith. And faith made a way. They stepped out with what they had, and more was provided along the way. Faith will always meet provision, but only after movement begins. Those who wait for ideal circumstances will always remain stuck. Faith is meant to be exercised daily. Just like a muscle grows when it is used, faith grows when it is stretched. The more a person steps out in faith, the stronger their confidence becomes. But those who refuse to act will always have weak faith. They will always struggle with doubt, always second-guess themselves, always wonder if things will work out. That is because faith only grows through experience. A person who has stepped out before and seen God come through will be quicker to step out again. But a person who never moves will always wonder what could have been. Faith without works is dead because faith was never meant to stand alone. It is a force that requires movement. It is the evidence of things not seen, but the proof of that evidence is in action. A person who truly believes acts accordingly. They do not hesitate. They do not delay. They do not make excuses. They move with confidence. They take risks. They invest in themselves, and they step forward knowing that faith always produces when it is put to work. God did not place you on this earth just to get by, just to make ends meet, or just to struggle through life. He created you with a purpose, with a divine assignment, and with the ability to grow, expand, and prosper. Too many people go through life in survival mode, barely holding on, settling for less, and accepting whatever life throws at them. They believe that suffering is their portion, that lack is normal, and that struggle is just a part of their destiny. But that is not the truth. You were not created to barely make it. You were created to thrive. You were designed to walk in abundance, to have dominion, to create, to lead, and to leave a legacy. Survival mode is a trap. It keeps people stuck in cycles of mediocrity. It tells them to play it safe, to not take risks, to just be thankful for what little they have and not expect anything more. But that mindset is the opposite of what God intended. When God created man, he gave him dominion over the earth. That means he gave him power, authority, and responsibility. He did not create man to be a beggar, to be a victim, or to struggle through life aimlessly. He created man to rule, to subdue, to multiply, and to flourish. Thriving is your birthright, but too many people have accepted survival as their reality because they have been conditioned to believe that they are not meant for more. One of the greatest lies people believe is that suffering is a sign of humility. They think that struggling financially, emotionally, or spiritually makes them closer to God. But God is a God of abundance. He is not limited, he is not lacking, and he does not desire for his children to live in lack either. He created the heavens and the earth with limitless resources, opportunities, and blessings. The problem is not that there is not enough. The problem is that people have been taught to settle. They have been taught to accept just enough to get by instead of stepping into the fullness of what God has for them. Thriving requires a shift in mindset. It requires breaking free from limiting beliefs, from generational patterns of lack, from fear, and from complacency. A survival mindset says, I just need enough to make it through the day. A thriving mindset says, I am called to overflow so that I can bless others. A survival mindset says, I hope things get better. A thriving mindset says, I have the power to create better. The difference between those who thrive and those who merely survive is not opportunity, it is mindset. Those who thrive refuse to accept anything less than what they know they were created for. Thriving is not just about money. It is about walking in the fullness of everything God has called you to be. It means having peace in your mind, joy in your heart, purpose in your work, and excellence in everything you do. It means not just working a job to pay bills, but walking in a calling that fulfills you. It means not just enduring relationships, but cultivating meaningful connections. It means not just existing, but living with passion, drive, and a sense of purpose. Thriving is about stepping into the best version of yourself and refusing to accept anything less. Fear is one of the biggest reasons people stay in survival mode. They are afraid of failure, afraid of stepping into the unknown, afraid of what people will think. But fear and faith cannot coexist. To thrive, you must be willing to take risks, to trust God completely, and to step out in faith even when you cannot see the whole picture. You cannot thrive while playing it safe. You cannot thrive while holding on to comfort zones. Thriving requires boldness. It requires stepping out of what is familiar and stepping into what is possible. Excuses are another reason people stay in survival mode. They say, I don't have the resources, I don't have the connections, or I don't have the time. But thriving does not start with external resources. It starts with internal decisions. The decision to grow, the decision to push past limitations, the decision to stop settling. Thriving is a choice. And the moment you decide that survival is no longer enough for you, doors will begin to open. Opportunities will appear. Strategies will be revealed. But nothing happens until you make the decision to break free from just getting by. Thriving requires work. It requires discipline, commitment, and consistency. It is not enough to wish for more. You must prepare for more. It is not enough to hope for better. You must become better. Those who thrive are not waiting for opportunities to come to them. They are creating opportunities. They are constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly improving them. They are not afraid to invest in themselves because they know that the greatest asset they have is their own development. They understand that thriving is not an event. It is a lifestyle, a daily decision to rise above limitations and step into greatness. Thriving is about impact. When you thrive, you are not just blessed, you become a blessing. You are able to give, to serve, to lift others up. You cannot help others if you are barely holding on yourself. You cannot pour into others if you are empty. That is why survival mode is dangerous. It keeps you focused on yourself, on your struggles, on your needs. But when you shift into thriving, you begin to think bigger. You begin to see how your success is connected to others. You begin to understand that your purpose is not just about you, it is about what you can contribute to the world. God created you to be fruitful, to multiply, to expand, and to live in abundance. He did not call you to struggle, to barely make it, or to live with a mindset of limitation. He placed greatness inside of you, but it is your responsibility to activate it. You were designed for more. You were created to lead, to grow, to break barriers, and to make an impact. The only question is whether you are willing to step out of survival mode and into the life you were destined for. Too many people spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment, the right conditions, and the ideal opportunity before they take action. They tell themselves that they will start when they have more money, when they have more knowledge, when they feel more confident, or when they have everything figured out. But the truth is, the right time will never come. Conditions will never be perfect. There will always be challenges, obstacles, and reasons to delay. If you keep waiting, you will keep wasting time. The people who succeed in life are not the ones who wait for the right moment. They're the ones who create the moment. Waiting for the right time is often just an excuse for fear. People are afraid to fail, afraid to make mistakes, afraid of what others will think, and afraid of stepping into the unknown. So they convince themselves that they need to wait until they feel more ready. But readiness is not a feeling, it is a decision. You do not become ready by waiting, you become ready by doing. The only way to gain confidence is through action. The only way to get better is through experience. You cannot prepare for something you refuse to start. Some people believe that they need more knowledge before they take action. They think they need to read more books, take more courses, or get more advice. While learning is important, knowledge without action is useless. There are people who have studied business for years but have never started one. There are people who have planned for success their whole lives but have never taken a single step toward it. The best way to learn is by doing. You will gain more wisdom from experience than from any book or seminar. Others believe they need more resources. They say they cannot start because they do not have enough money, enough connections, or enough support. But the most successful people in the world did not start with everything they needed. They started with what they had. They took the little they had and made it work. They did not wait for someone to give them an opportunity. They created their own. If you keep waiting for all the resources to appear before you start, you will be waiting forever. Provision follows action. The moment you start moving, doors will begin to open. Procrastination is the enemy of success. Every time you delay action, you delay progress. Every time you make an excuse, you push your dreams further away. The people who accomplish great things are not necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They are simply the ones who refuse to wait. They take action even when they do not feel ready. They step out in faith even when they do not see the whole path. They understand that momentum is built through movement, not through waiting. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. Every delay adds another layer of doubt, another excuse, another obstacle. What you put off today will become harder to face tomorrow. That is why people get stuck in cycles of inaction. They spend years saying, one day I will start, but that day never comes. If you do not start now, then when? Time does not wait for anyone. The longer you hesitate, the more opportunities you miss. Some people wait for a sign. They want confirmation that they are making the right decision before they take action. But success does not come with guarantees. If you are waiting for absolute certainty, you will never move. Faith requires stepping out before you see the outcome. Every great achievement began with a step into the unknown. The people who make an impact in the world are not the ones who wait for signs. They are the ones who take bold action and create results. The truth is, the perfect time is now. You already have everything you need to take the first step. You may not have all the answers, but you have enough to begin. You may not have all the resources, but you have enough to get started. The first step is always the hardest, but once you take it, everything else begins to fall into place. You do not need to see the entire staircase. Just take the first step, and the rest will follow. Taking action does not mean you will not face obstacles. It does not mean everything will go smoothly, but progress comes through movement. Mistakes will happen. Failures will come, but every experience will teach you something valuable. The only real failure is never trying at all. The people who wait for the perfect time never get started, but those who take action despite fear, despite uncertainty, despite imperfection, are the ones who change their lives and the world around them. You cannot afford to wait any longer. Every second you hesitate is a second wasted. The dreams, goals, and purpose inside of you cannot wait another year, another month, or another day. The opportunity is now. The time is now. And the only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is the decision to start. Fear and faith cannot coexist. One will always overpower the other. Fear paralyzes, while faith propels. Fear causes hesitation, while faith demands action. Fear whispers doubt, while faith speaks confidence. Every person faces moments in life where they must choose between fear and faith. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is not opportunity or ability. It is the choice to move in faith instead of being held back by fear. Fear will always try to convince you that you are not ready, not qualified, and not capable. But faith will remind you that God has already equipped you with everything you need. If fear is a liar, it magnifies problems, exaggerates risks, and makes obstacles seem bigger than they really are. It convinces people that they are too small, too weak, too inexperienced, or too broken to move forward. But fear is only as powerful as the belief you give it. If you believe its lies, it will control you. If you refuse to accept its voice, it will lose its grip. Faith sees reality, but it also sees beyond reality. It acknowledges challenges, but refuses to be limited by them. Where fear sees impossibility, faith sees opportunity. Fear operates through uncertainty. It makes people feel like they need to have every detail figured out before they take a step. It causes overthinking, second guessing, and unnecessary hesitation. But faith does not require full understanding. It requires trust. Faith moves forward even when the path is unclear. It steps out even when there are no guarantees. The people who accomplish great things are not the ones who had all the answers before they started. They are the ones who moved in faith despite the unknown. They understood that the only way to see what is possible is to step out and take action. Fear thrives on comfort. It convinces people to stay where it is safe, where it is familiar, where it feels secure. But comfort is the enemy of growth. No one who ever achieved anything great did so by staying within their comfort zone. Faith requires stepping into the unfamiliar, taking risks, and trusting that God will provide what is needed along the way. It means leaving behind excuses, breaking free from self-imposed limitations, and believing that what is ahead is greater than what is behind. Fear keeps people stuck in cycles of inaction. It makes them delay decisions, postpone progress, and miss out on opportunities. They tell themselves they will start when they feel ready, but readiness never comes because fear always finds another excuse. Faith, on the other hand, does not wait for perfect conditions. It moves boldly, trusting that things will align as action is taken. The longer fear is entertained, the stronger it becomes. The moment faith takes the lead, fear begins to lose its power. Fear robs people of their potential. It convinces them to settle for less than what they were created for. It makes them shrink back from challenges that were meant to build them. It keeps them from pursuing their purpose, launching their business, starting that ministry, or making that move. Faith, however, demands growth. It pushes people into new levels of excellence. It challenges them to step into their calling with confidence. It forces them to become the person they were always meant to be. Fear creates doubt, but faith builds certainty. A person filled with fear will always question if they are good enough, if they will succeed, or if they have what it takes. But a person filled with faith moves with assurance, knowing that if God called them to it, he will equip them for it. Faith does not mean that fear will never show up. It means that fear is never allowed to make the final decision. People of faith acknowledge fear but refuse to submit to it. They feel the fear, but they move anyway. Fear is deceptive. It disguises itself as wisdom, logic, or even humility. It tells people they are being smart by waiting, that they are being responsible by playing it safe, that they are being realistic by lowering their expectations. But faith is the true wisdom. Faith is the true strategy. Faith is the only way to walk in purpose. Playing it safe is not wisdom. It is stagnation. True wisdom is trusting in God's plan and moving in obedience even when it does not make sense. Fear is temporary, but regret lasts forever. Many people look back on their lives and realize that fear kept them from pursuing their dreams, from taking risks, from walking in faith. They realize that the things they feared never even happened, but their hesitation cost them opportunities they will never get back. Faith does not guarantee an easy road, but it guarantees a life without regret. It ensures that every moment is lived boldly, every opportunity is taken, and every purpose is fulfilled. Fear will always try to hold you back, but faith will always push you forward. Fear will always look for reasons why something will not work, but faith will find a way. Fear will try to keep you in the background, but faith will move you into position. The choice between fear and faith is one that must be made daily. Every action, every decision, and every step forward depends on which one you allow to lead your life. Every step you take has the power to shape your future. Every decision, every action, and every move you make can either push you forward or keep you stagnant. Too many people get caught up in their past failures, past disappointments, past mistakes. They allow what happened before to dictate what they do next, convinced that because they struggled before, they will struggle again. But the past is not a prophecy, it is only a lesson. Your next move is the most important move because it determines where you go from here. It is the move that breaks cycles, shatters limitations, and sets a new course for your life. There is no success without movement. Some people wait for things to change before they make a move, but change does not come from waiting. It comes from doing. Progress happens when you take a step, even if you do not have all the answers, even if the path is unclear, even if you feel uncertain. The greatest mistake people make is hesitating when they should be acting, holding back when they should be moving forward. Momentum does not come from thinking about the next move. It comes from making it. Fear often tries to convince people that they need more time before they make their next move. They tell themselves they need more information, more confidence, more resources. But the truth is, action brings clarity. The moment you start moving, things start becoming clearer. The path unfolds, opportunities arise, and doors open. But nothing happens if you stay still. Staying in the same place, doing the same things, thinking the same way will only produce the same results. Your next move has the power to change everything, but you have to make it. Some people feel stuck because they are afraid of making the wrong move. They analyze, strategize, and overthink until they talk themselves out of taking any action at all. But inaction is the only wrong move. Every successful person has made mistakes, but mistakes are not the end. They are part of the process. Growth comes from movement. If you make a move and it does not work, you learn, you adjust, and you keep going. But if you do nothing, you gain nothing. The only way to fail is to stay where you are. Your next move is not about perfection, it is about progression. It does not have to be big, flashy, or dramatic. It just has to be forward. Too many people think success is about making one huge leap, but in reality, it is about a series of consistent, intentional steps. Small moves done consistently lead to big results over time. The power is not in waiting for a breakthrough, it is in building toward it. With every decision you make, every move you make is either taking you closer to your goals or further away. There is no such thing as standing still. Even when you think you are not making a decision, you are deciding to stay where you are. If you want more, if you desire growth, if you are ready for change, then your next move must be a move of faith. It must be a move that aligns with where you are going, not where you have been. You cannot let temporary comfort keep you in a place that was never meant to be your final destination. Excuses will always be available, but so are opportunities. There will always be reasons why now is not the right time, why you should wait, why you should play it safe. But the people who succeed are the ones who refuse to let excuses keep them from moving forward. They recognize that they do not need perfect conditions to start. They do not wait for motivation, for validation, or permission. They take action because they know that every moment spent waiting is a moment wasted. Your next move requires courage. It requires stepping out even when you do not have all the answers. It requires trusting that even if you do not see the full picture, the piece you hold is enough to get you started. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move despite it. Boldness is what separates those who achieve from those who only dream. It is what turns ideas into reality, potential into progress, and vision into victory. Distractions will try to take your focus away from your next move. Doubts will try to convince you that you are not ready. Negative voices, whether from others or from within, will try to keep you from stepping into your greatness. But you must be determined, you must be committed, you must be willing to move forward no matter what. The people who change their lives are not the ones who avoid challenges. They are the ones who push through them. They refuse to let fear, doubt, or hesitation keep them from their destiny. Your next move is the foundation for everything that comes next. What you do today will determine the opportunities you step into tomorrow. What you decide now will shape your future. The only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is action. You cannot afford to hesitate. You cannot afford to wait for the perfect moment. You cannot afford to let fear win. Your next move is not just another move. It is your best move, and it is time to make it.